Terry's going to go ahead and start.
First of all, let me thank you for sitting here. Some of you got here before 10 o'clock, and we appreciate your patience. You got up in the cold weather and you came out despite the fact, and we appreciate that. As I said earlier, it's not a court hearing, but it is a committee hearing of the Board of Aldermen. This particular committee is the Ways and Means Committee. Its job is to hear and to deal with legislation related to things like the special business district and the budget of the city of St. Louis. What is proposed here today is the creation of a special business district, and we pass out to you all.
Hey, Terry, can I get you to sit over here? Because if we're filming this, you have to be at a mic.
Or just on the mic.
Or just be on that mic. If you want to come over here, at least, or do that. Because, like I said, it's not.
That's why.
He's going to turn it around. He'll be there.
Hear ye. No. This committee, the chairman on Friday retired and went to another position. The vice chair was in another meeting, so we had some confusion. This is what has happened. The committee itself has to have a chair and the vice chair has to be here to chair the meeting. We were trying to find a loophole in the rules, but we weren't able to find it yet, but we'll figure out something. The proposition before us today, as on the sheets that I've given you, is the creation of a special business district. There's one sheet that talks about the general definition and purpose of special business districts. Typically, the person who is presenting this, and I'm presenting this as an alderman today, is facing the committee and not you. So it's all kind of, life will take you in all different kind of directions before you know it. This is something unusual. However, we're rolling forward. The special business district is a district that is allowable by state. It is covered by state statute. State statute allows for property owners in a proposed district to send a petition to the city council, in this instance, the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, requesting the creation of what's called a special business district. In their request, they will give the district a name. They will outline when they would like to see it on the ballot. They will outline the uses for tax dollars in that district, as well as a projected income. There are several steps towards the creation of a special business district. The first one, of course, is the petition. The Board of Aldermen cannot do this action on its own. It requires property owners within that district or proposed district to propose a special business district. And the petition is the first part. The second part is that the city council, in this instance the Board of Aldermen, will look at and entertain a resolution that talks about the intent to create a special business district. In this instance, this is where we are today. It's this step 2, discussing in a public forum, giving people the opportunity to give their opinions as to whether or not they feel it would be a benefit to have a special business district in their area. Now remember, special business districts can levy property taxes. There are several things that they can do. But let me finish the steps. Step 3 would be, after the public discussion, would be to actually pass an ordinance that would place this question as to whether or not to have the special business district on a municipal ballot. The Board of Aldermen cannot, by ordinance, do this itself. What it does is to place it on the ballot, and those property owners and residents in the proposed district make the final decision as to whether or not they want to have it at an election. Then that fourth step is that if it passes there, it is then finally signed and passed and becomes a district if the voters in that district determine that that's what they want. There are several purposes for a special business district that the state allows for. They can use for alley and street improvements, landscaping, sidewalk improvement, public and street furniture, like the bus stop seats and that kind of business. It's not people's front room furniture out on the street, but what they call public furniture. Trash receptacles, park improvements, child care facilities, security and policing, murals and public, you see on this, there's an entire list here of the different categories and ways these dollars can be used. Typically, the state allows for special business districts to capture some of the 50% up to the business license of the various businesses in that district. They can impose an additional tax upon them and capture that, as well as up to 85 cents per $100 assessment of the property tax. The special business districts are governed by a board, a 7-member board, who are recommended by the mayor and approved by the city council, in this instance the Board of Aldermen. These individuals have to come from that district. They are to represent the diversity of that district, the various areas, and their role is to determine where the funds go after input from residents and property owners in that district. Who votes? The individuals, the property owners and residents of that district vote on the district. People outside of that don't have a say as to whether or not that happens. So if you're not a property owner or a resident of the district, you have no say as to whether it is established. However, those individuals there can, by vote on a city ballot, make that determination. Special business districts have an expiration date. They don't last forever. And this particular one is being recommended for 5 years. If it is not renewed after that, it dies and it goes away as no longer a district collecting those taxes. This particular one that is being proposed today was proposed by a group of residents and property owners in the proposed area. The boundaries are roughly from Taylor to Vanderventor, from Lindell over to Finney. Again, it's Taylor to Vanderventor, Taylor on the west, Vanderventor on the east, Lindell to the south, and Finney on the north. Those are the boundaries. Now, it's not a complete square, as you see on the map. It goes in and out, but those are the furthest north, south, east, and west boundaries. They proposed, the vice chair is here. They're proposed, shall I stop or continue? Shall I continue? Okay, then. They're proposing for this specific special business district. First of all, the name that they're proposing is called the North Central Special Business District. Now, the name of the special business district does not change the name of the neighborhood or anything like that. It's just the name of that special business district. I've already given you the boundaries. They're proposing for that district, the people who submitted the petition are proposing that there be a 75 cents per 100 evaluation assessment on property tax within the district. And they're also able to accept donations and contributions for the district. Also on that sheet, you will see how much they're proposed that would make each year. So it gives you some idea of the amounts of money that can come in. And if you just add it up, you can see what it could be like over the 5-year period. They are proposing to use these dollars. 78% of it is being proposed to use for security and safety, 8.8% for infrastructure improvement, 6.2% on beautification of the area, 3.3% on marketing the area, and 3.7% for administration costs. Did I go too fast? It's on the sheet. It's on the sheet that says North Central on the back. I can do it again. Yes, ma'am, it is. It's on the back sheet where it says proposed income. The sheet that says North Central Special Business District. I can go through it again, though.
Hey, Terry.
You got it?
Hey, Terry.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to disrupt, but do you want Marlene to call the meeting to order? We're going to drag everybody over so we can...
I called the meeting, they're on their way over.
I can complete this, though.
No, we need him to finish that.
Yeah.
It's required anyway.
I'm on a roll. Don't stop me now.
Okay.
The governing body,
Information.
they're proposing for the North Central Special Business District would be 5. Remember, the state requires 7 members. 5 of those members of this particular one they're proposing will be property owners, and 2 will be renters. or residents, in this instance, renter residents of the area.
Yeah.
Again, who votes on it are the property owners and residents of the district, no one outside of that. And
Oh, we're fine.
it is proposed that the question as to whether or not to have this special business district be on the April 2nd, 2019 municipal general election ballot. So, you know, there's a March election primary and then the general election in April of next year. And so it would be on the April ballot.
Okay, we'll be good.
April 2nd? Did somebody ask me April what?
No, he'll be on the other side for it.
Okay, yes, sir. It was like I didn't see you, just, it was like a phantom said,
Yes, I'm
go. And then they're proposing that this special business district would expire in 5 years, that it would only last for 5 years unless residents in the area and property owners vote to continue it. As a part of the presentation, hopefully that gives you some basic understanding of it. The meeting has not officially started, so I guess we could take some questions if there's some, but we will also hear from the petitioners, those who actually introduced the petition. If I may add one other thing, this would be one of the few special business districts, if any, that has boundaries that include areas both north and south of Delmar. We've all heard about the constant thing about the Delmar divide. I think part of their effort here was to try to bridge that gap and to create a united community as much as possible. Now, I grew up on Enright, and so, you know, for us, when we grew up on Enright, it wasn't Delmar, it was that alley between Washington and Olive that was the real divide, and it was serious. And those on the south side, they used to even block the streets to keep us from going over there when we were children. So it's a very real thing, this Delmar divide. The attempt here is to try to bridge it and cross it. These are done by individuals. I know many of them have lived in this area over 40 years. And so they're trying to work in that direction. And it was a group effort from some on south of Delmar and some of north of Delmar. I don't think there are any other special business districts that way. The closest one might be the Locust Special District that does go up to Delmar.
Yes.
But I don't think it crosses it. That's in Alderwoman Davis's ward. So that's part of the effort here to improve the community and to unite a community because it's still all one ward. And so in that way, it could be history. But we have to make our determination as to whether or not we'd like to have this happen. Yes, ma'am, you had a question over here? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, it's 75 cents per 100 assessed value. I believe they have some, when they do their presentation, they have some of that. The petitioners, would you like to hear it right? Are you able to do that right now?
No, let's officially put this in order.
Okay. Which one now? I'm sorry.
Where are they getting this assessed value figure from? Each individual property?
It would be assessed on each individual property.
Okay, and then, give me a hypothetical of what that would be.
Okay, we're gonna go through that. Let's call it.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that. The chair wants to go ahead and the vice chair wants to go ahead and start the meeting. So we'll do that and then we'll come right back to that question?
Absolutely.
Then we'll come right back to that question. Okay. Surely. It's not a problem.
Okay.
She just wants to get officially started.
Alderman, you're gonna go to your appropriate stance. I'll turn it over. Thank you. I will share that with you as I open the meeting, okay? First,
Yes, sir.
First, I would like to apologize. I would have been here had I known I was sharing this meeting, but I didn't get a message that I was sharing this meeting. So, I am Alderwoman Davis of the 19th Ward. I'm vice chair of this committee. We just lost our chair last Friday. And so things have to get rearranged and the appropriate notices go to the appropriate people. What I'd like to do is to call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard,
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad.
Present.
You have 6 present, you have quorum.
Thank you. First, what I'd like to do, because I know many of you have not been to a committee hearing before, so I'd like to just give you an opportunity to understand how the process will move forward. I appreciate Alderman Kennedy starting the informational part of it, because it had to be done anyway, in order to make sure that your time was used in the best way. If you are interested in speaking either for or against this, I hope you have already signed up. If you have not signed up, we do not have people just speaking from the audience. It has to be official. You have to sign in, then you would come to the mic, you would share your concerns at the mic. Also, as we move forward, there will be a time limit as well. So it won't be a conversation for 5, 10, 15 minutes for one person. We will start off with each individual getting 3 minutes to speak either for or against this process. Also, the committee persons will wait until all of you all speak, maybe. It just depends if there's something really urgent that we probably should respond to right away. We will give clarity to that. But we try to allow you to speak your piece. The alderperson will be listening, the committee members will be listening, and hopefully we can make sure that you have all the information that you need. A special business district is a helpful tool to have an opportunity to either stabilize your community or bring great improvement that is needed. So we do have them in different parts of the city, north, south, east, and west. We have those. And the residents and business owners, they take pride in it. It also brings people together in an area. And I, too, like the alderman, grew up on Enright. And you know, they didn't call it Central West End, and our part of the Central West End. I don't even remember if they gave us a name, but we were there. And for those who've been there a long time, you remember Morocco Candies, the Jewish Deli, the Midtown Theater, all of those things that we had privy to go to, but not necessarily be acknowledged as residents in the area. So what we'd like to do is ask the alderperson to formally introduce this to the committee, and then we will go to the questions that people need to ask. So Alderman Kennedy, and Madam, you had asked a question. I want to make sure that you're signed in before you speak. So if you haven't signed, no, we don't do it. Remember, we don't do that from the audience. We have sheets that you sign up. We will call on you. You will come to the mic. The sheets are right here on the counter. And if you're interested in speaking, please sign up. And then we will call you by name to come up and speak.
Can we hear from the people who, the petitioners who submitted?
I just said we will not speak from the audience, but the alderperson will carry the flow of the information part of it. So he's going to identify all those people who need to give presentations, because we don't know who they are. But Alderman Kennedy will do that for you to make sure you get all the information. One is for, they say the same thing. But it really should be pro and con. so that he has clear identified.
Sent to both of us.
Okay. Thank you.
So is Teresa going to say that about CD? I'm not going in there. See, there were other people besides you and me. I know. You know. I'm wondering. Well, if they're going to vote on some coffee.
I need something.
Black.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Four.
We had 6 on the roll call.
If we're supposed to be up at LRCA. Yeah, we're supposed to both be at straight.
Okay.
Are we going to vote? I mean, are you going to need?
I don't think he has to have a vote today. I'll ask.
Ask him if he needs.
Yeah, this usually takes a moment when you're doing a new one. Yeah, it takes a moment when you're doing a new one.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
No, because I'm going to control. Yeah, we're going to be good.
Well, ask him.
And we're going to have another meeting. Yeah.
Because it's going to look funny when we both leave, but we're supposed to be up there at 11.
Okay.
So ask him. Getting underway here. We were committed to go up to SLDC for this presentation by Port Authority. Are you going to call for a vote today? Okay, I mean, I don't want to leave you high and dry, but, we were thinking it's 11. It's in 5 minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, I called up there and said we're probably late, but I didn't know. I was like, oh my, I didn't realize this was all going on. I was thinking we were just
Alderman
kind of
Muhammad, have you had a chance to go over and listen to everything about the Port Authority?
Because we
No,
had
about
committed
the
to
Port
this
Authority.
a couple of weeks ago.
I did.
Okay. Remember that?
Everything that was emailed out yesterday?
Did you go over to the
I did
presentation?
not go to the presentation.
Okay.
They did send over the presentation via email.
Okay.
I gotta go.
Did Tracy send you my email?
No.
Well, no, I just told her like probably 30 minutes
Mackin.
ago to email you.
Okay.
I will not be here too much.
All right.
May I continue? Shall I?
Thank you very much, Alderman Kennedy. So what I'd like for you to do is to go ahead and officially present your board bill. Because you've already given all the information, you can do the abbreviated version
Okay.
for our records.
Okay.
And I think people are very anxious to have the opportunity to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the committee. What you have before you today is a resolution and a board bill related to the creation of a special business district that would be called the North Central Special Business District. It's in an area that we're bounded by Taylor, Vanderventer, Lindell, and Finney to the north. That also takes in the North Sarah development and other areas of development in that those particular boundaries. We've talked about earlier the purpose and the function of it and what they're attempting trying to accomplish. We do have the petitioners here. As you know, a special business district is initiated by a petition from property owners within the district. Those petitioners are here today, and I'd like to invite up Ms. Judith Arnold, longtime resident of the area, to discuss what their thinking was, what they feel are the benefits, and why they issued the petition. She will also be able to answer the question about some examples of how that works out in terms of the 75 cents. The state does allow for a special business district to go up to 85 cents per 100 assessed evaluation of property. They're proposing only up to 75 cents per, but they can better explain their reasoning. They first brought this idea up to me about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I told them that before we do anything like that, you really need to get out into the community. So they had a series of meetings, a large one at Galilee, but you don't always reach everybody. And so then we're here today also explaining, because we want people to understand. This bill and the resolution would place this on the ballot for residents in that district and property owners to make the determination if they want to have this. That is required by state law. State law does not allow the Board of Aldermen just to set this up and tax people. The individuals, the property owners, and the residents must make that decision. So really the only question before the committee is to whether or not to place this on the ballot. However, I think it's good that we hear from the petitioners and get a little bit more of the history and their reasoning for doing it. If that's fine, Madam Vice Chairman, I'd like to call up Judith Arnold.
I think that's the first step.
Okay then. There you are. Thank you.
Good morning, committee members, and thank you very much for allowing us to present this proposal. And thank you very much for all of the residents that came out today to hear this initiative and proposal. The North Central Special Business District is a 5-year strategy to enhance the area's image with more safety and security, infrastructure, beautification, and marketing on both sides of Del Mar. Specifically, and the Alderman has stated it several times, the boundaries are Taylor on the west, Vanderventer Avenue on the east, Finney Avenue on the north, and Lindell Boulevard on the south. This is the last piece of the central corridor to fill in with a special business district all around us, except to the north, to the east, the west, and the south. Special business districts are in place, all to enhance the areas that these districts comprise. This special business district will provide funding for public services from additional real estate taxes on properties in the boundaries. The North Central Special Business District will be established by a city ordinance with voter approval by property owners and all residents within the boundaries. Our proposal is asking for a real estate tax at 75 cents per $100 of assessed value. For a home with an appraised value of $50,000, the assessed value would be $9,500. The annual tax increase would be $71.25. For a home valued at $100,000, you double that. And then you triple it for another $150,000 home. Refined concepts of the North Central Special Business District conforms with the North Central Revitalization Plan, which many residents engaged in the planning process back in the year 2000. The proposal complements current development resulting from this plan, such as the Sarah Place apartments on Finney and Sarah, and some of the other development that had taken place on Sarah and Enright, the Union Sarah buildings themselves, the grants from the UDAG proposal. There's some real key principles that I want to make sure everyone understands. As we worked to put this together, as Alderman Kennedy said, it's been a couple years, because we wanted to engage with the community. Now, I know that we have not reached everyone, but we reached a substantial amount. Community engagement is the cornerstone of the success of this program, this particular proposal. It will create the special business district, and then once it's created, it will work the special business district. We attended block units and group meetings to arrange discussions about the possibility of a special business district. And when we ran out of those meetings, we started arranging meetings in places strategically in the area so that residents would understand exactly the specifics of a special business district and how it could help the community. We held more than 20 informational meetings. We also held a bus tour of the area and a resource fair, which was assembled back in April, so that residents could come and learn about the resources that the city was able to provide for them, as well as to see the developments that was going on in the neighborhood. There were people from outside of the neighborhood that took advantage of those bus tours as well. More than 250 people came out for those bus tours in April. We were blown away by the attendance. October of this year, we sponsored National Night Out right on Del Mar as a symbol of bridging the Del Mar divide. More than 400 residents came out. We have gone door to door, passing out flyers, letting residents know when those informational meetings would be held. We will continue in the interim to hold more informational meetings. I want everyone to understand and to be engaged in the process. And with the engagement, let me tell you what happened. We dropped the tax from 85 cents to 75 cents. That was part of the engagement, because of the engagement process. We also were very aware that there was an equity question in terms of the selection of commissioners. Because, see, the state just writes a bunch of rules and they're bland, and sometimes somebody has to fill in the blanks. So when we proposed the petition, we made sure as guidance that the mayor and anyone else that's creating this special business district and signs off on this special business district knows that equity is front and center, and that we want representation of the commissioners from all over the community. And so we created zones where the commissioners would come out of. And we could not put that in the ordinance because that's not the way an ordinance is written. But we made doggone sure it was in the petition, because we're using that petition as guidance. And we want it to be as guidance. After every meeting and event that we held, we surveyed the residents to ask them, what do you think about this special business district? What are the priorities? What are the concerns of the community? What are your concerns? And what we heard was that front and center, it was public safety. So this special business district will probably model the other special business districts in the area that have safety and security initiatives. When you drive up and down Euclid Avenue and in the Central West End, you see additional police officers. Those additional police officers are paid by those businesses or those residents. This will probably be a part of this special business district. 82% of the people that we served, that we surveyed, said that they are favorable for the creation of a special business district. Collaboration. We have a commitment to the vision, which will be spoken about in a minute or two, with residents working on both sides of Del Mar to achieve intended outcomes. And this gives us an opportunity to promote equitable values on blocks both north and south of Del Mar. And sustainability will only occur because of the residents themselves, driving long-term success with funding partnerships and governance. I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of the petitioners. We are only asking you to vote to place this on the ballot so that the residents will have a choice in terms of whether they want this to happen or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You had other members of the
Yes, we do.
coalition that started this. Would they like to speak?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dana Scott Person. I'm a resident of the area as well as I work in the area. So I have been in this area for a long time and have been working with this group since the beginning to establish a special business district. Actually, the vision for this district came from us talking about expanding some of the special business districts that were already in the Central West End, and the discussion of, why are we stopping at Del Mar? What are we supposed to do? Put lights on one side of Del Mar and not on the other? And then it went from one side to the other, and then it went farther and farther, and we decided that in order to bridge that final divide and to create a community that provides an opportunity to erase the legacy of racial separation and social and economic isolation, we wanted to cross the Del Mar divide. So that's where our vision came, that's where we started from, and that's where it's expanded to. And our intended outcomes of this is to create exceptional experiences for the residents in the community, create a sense of civic well-being in the community, and an opportunity for economic growth. As you've seen, some of the, obviously we have businesses on both sides of that area, and this will allow those businesses to participate in the safety and security of the area by providing those extra taxes and allow for us to create this district. Some of those areas, some of the things, one of the reasons we touched on these specific areas were connecting some of the previous development that has already occurred. For example, the North Sarah development, which has 235 new low to moderate apartment buildings, Rankin's new job training facility. There's new homes being built on Finney Avenue, as well as the obvious Lindell Business District and things like that. So our vision was to create this community within a community that already exists, and we're looking forward to working with the neighbors and for us to get together and create this opportunity and to approve it so as to finally apply our own resources and our own investment in our community. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. The next person on the list is it Leslie Kaiser?
Me.
Yes.
Good morning, and again, thank you, Vice Chairman Davis, the committee members of the Ways and Means Committee, and Alderman Kennedy for helping sponsor this. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and most of all, to share my perspective of why I am in support of the North Central Special District. My name is Leslie Eric Kaiser. My wife Carol and I live at 4269 Washington Boulevard, and we're the owners of the property next door, commercial lot, 4271. The passage of this special business district provides a consistent stream of income to be used to add community services that you've heard of so far today. As such, we developed a budget proxy to show where the priorities that we had heard from the community would initially be allocated. Clearly, the resounding priorities came across as safety and security. And if I may add a little context to this, in the community back in the fall, actually Labor Day weekend of 2014, we initiated a citizens patrol to look after things. We had a lot of drug dealing going on in the community. We had a lot of garage break-ins. We even had some home invasions. So we started, and actually, at the time, Chief John Hayden went out with us the first night. And we talked about some of the concerns we had in the community and stuff. And in subsequent meetings, Chief Hayden talked about, he said, what you're really defining is the neighborhood ownership model, which is the special business district. He shared with us at the time that he happens to reside in a special business district and some of the benefits he saw as a resident that came there. Well, after we had done these citizens patrols, which we found to be pretty effective, it got to the point where we recognized it just wasn't sustainable. And when things are going well, people tend to lose interest in safety and security. So come to December, I was introduced to some people throughout the Central West End that had already had special business districts established for quite a few years. That was in December of 2014. So then it became an idea that maybe this was a more sustainable approach to offering something to the community that we could go year after year and actually make improvements on, not just through the hands of a few willing people to run citizens patrols. At this time, I considered myself an originator of the idea, but all I was looking to do was leverage something that had already been done. 7 special business districts adjacent to the recommendation we've put forth are nearby, and 6 of them have actually subscribed to the Neighborhood Security Initiative. This has been a very effective tool in both deterring and helping solve crime within the adjacent areas. It was in the spring of 2015 that I met Judith Arnold. And through a great introduction, this idea started to turn into a vision that you're hearing today and that we have been promoting for well over 3 years. And I don't mean to correct anybody, but Dana will remember back to December in 2014 when we actually started this. The point on all of this is we took our time. We engaged across communities of varying points of view, and we listened. And again, that common theme came through. People were concerned about safety in the neighborhood, within their homes, outside of their homes, and this became the theme that we're trying to respond to now. I'd like to say thank you to Alderman Kennedy again for sponsoring this. We have followed, to the best of our collective wisdom and our capabilities, your guidance of engaging the community. Moving forward, we will maintain that same sense of openness and transparency. Thank you again very much for hearing it, and I'm open to any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, sir. William? Is it William Roth? Okay.
Good morning. My name is William Roth. I am a longtime resident in the Central West End. I'm in Heather Navarro's ward is where I live, in a special business district. And 12 years ago, I bought property on North Boyle, 2 beautiful abandoned properties that have now, 12 years later, blossomed into homes for 5 of my businesses, in addition to 2 restaurants, ice cream shop, dance studio, performing arts company, the Gaslight Theater. I told you that I live in Heather Navarro's ward, and I know what a special business district can do for me personally as a homeowner, what it did for our block, but I also what it does as it engages in other special business districts around it. But when I joined this group to start this special business district as a property owner in the ward, I also saw what being insular could do. When we developed ours, everybody was interested in just hunkering down in and around their block and closing their borders, and we all know how that's worked for the city in the past. Thankfully, special business districts have blossomed around us, so our borders have been pushed and pushed. As we looked at this, and now I've enjoyed 12 years later, with the help of Alderman Kennedy and his visions within the ward, we have seen homes blossom all up and down Olive. We have seen developments in the lot across the street. We are at the southern border of this proposed SPD, and for me personally, From the very beginning, I've been a part of this group from day one. It was all about taking what we have started on the southern end and looking north to develop community. And it is really, for me personally, as a longtime resident of the Central West End and now a 12-year owner of property within the Special Business District and the ward, how much community can we build? How far can we reach to let people know that we all live and care about the same area? So I'm been very excited about the size of this Special Business District. I know from what's happened where we are, what can happen and what can happen quite quickly. As should be obvious from what I have to say today, I am in great support of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. Is the next person Al Johnson? Okay.
My name's Al Johnson. My wife and I reside at 4231 Olive. We moved to Gaslight Square 5 years ago. I moved here to St. Louis in 1973, 45 years ago. I was involved in a youth ministry up in North St. Louis. And during that time period, I've lived in North City, I've lived in South City, I've lived in the Central West End. My wife moved to our current location 5 years ago. When I moved here, there were 662,000 people in this city. I've sat here and watched this city deteriorate and decline to half that number. And I've always been impressed with what a great city, great potential St. Louis has, but disappointed and dismayed that the city simply doesn't seem to be progressing the way other similar situated cities are. The reasons are multiple. We all know what they are, but one of the primary ones is the racial divide here is more intense than any other city that I'm aware of in the country. This proposal is one of the most dynamic, visionary ones that I've ever seen, and it gives me hope that we've got a real future here in St. Louis, but we've got to breach that Del Mar divide. And I really commend Judith Arnold, Eric Kaiser, and Alderman Kennedy for their vision in taking leadership on this. I fully support it. My wife and I, we're probably going to stay here till we die. But when we hear gunshots, as we frequently do at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, that we know are a few blocks away from us, when we see our neighbors sometimes victims of carjacking, which we have about one of those a year in our neighborhood, we know that some of the younger families in the neighborhood, and we have quite a few of them, and some of our neighbors aren't going to remain. And we don't want to have a second depopulation of Gaslight Square. And that's why I think that this is just so vital to our future and moving forward. And I think the good news is that if we can get a handle on the crime problem and some of the other issues we face, abandoned housing, I think this neighborhood is going to be the next neighborhood in St. Louis, the north of Del Mar portion of it, that is going to experience a real renaissance. We've seen the start of that, and I think this will allow it to continue. So I certainly appeal to the Board of Aldermen, to the committee, to allow this to be placed in the ballot and allow the residents in our community to stand up and be counted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person is Martha Sands.
Good morning, my name is Martha Sands. I live at 4316 East Fairfax Court. I'm sorry.
Come, I need you to speak into the mic.
So I'm speaking to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You're speaking to everyone, but this is a microphone so everyone can hear you. It's also being recorded, so you can go back and listen intently on the YouTube in case you missed something, and then you can share it with residents or whatever, somebody else that you'd like to know this information as well. So it's being recorded.
Okay. My name is Good morning. My name is Martha Sands. I live at 4316 East Fairfax Court. And in listening to the petitioners regarding the proposal, it sounds very exciting. It sounds like it is a lucrative opportunity for us to gain some values as it relates to the community that we live in. But at the same time, I would like to know, when you're speaking about public safety and things like that, it appears that on the south side of Delmar, those options are already available. So I think my question would be, if this proposal, if this becomes bill, if it gets passed, how will that same public safety be initiated on the north side of Delmar and further, to the boundaries, whatever the boundaries are? I've not seen in the community that I live in policing ever. So I think that would be my first question, is regarding how public safety will be initiated, since it is a priority based on what I've heard already. And my second question would be, in the information, it talks about some of the other areas that the funds will be used to improve, namely the alleyways and the streets. From what I hear on the news, there's already initiatives in place that the mayor has as it relates to illegal dumping and things like that. So if the funds collected from the increase in the property tax can be used for street and alley improvements, how is that going to be implemented? I'm assuming they will have to work with Refuge and the other departments that already administer that. But that is a concern not only in the area that I live in, but obviously it's in other areas as well. And to be honest with you, I've not really seen any improvement in the area that I live in. Maybe there have been improvements in other areas, but not in the area that I live in. So those would be my two questions, or the two areas that I would like to have a response to as it relates to initiating practices or options for improvement in those areas.
Alderman, would you like to answer now?
Somebody was talking to me, I missed one of them. But yes, the projects would have to be coordinated with the proper city departments as it relates to capital improvements. And sometimes they move a little faster when you have some dollars that you're placing on the table than when you have to go through capital improvement. Those dollars are very small, and they have to be spread throughout the entire ward. And so then you would find, and what they have found, I believe, in many special business districts, the ability to move a lot faster because they're putting money on the table themselves.
Okay.
The second question I didn't hear. What was the second question?
The second one was regarding where the funds will be, the funds that's going to be collected, where they're going to be used at, and it was regarding streets and alleyways. The first one was regarding public safety and how that would be initiated on the north side of Delmar, or in that area.
Yeah, they have proposed that the majority of it would be used for policing and public safety. So that could manifest itself as like what they've done in some of the other special business districts with a private company that patrols. It could be that. It could be other kinds of programs and projects. They would make, the board itself would make that final decision with input from people from the community. That's my understanding. Could one of the petitioners answer that?
Yes.
I can have a seat now.
Yes,
I don't think it was very clear that there are some initiatives that are on the boards right now as a result of our proposal moving forward. One of those being the Great Rivers Greenway, which is proposing a greenway along the Hodemont Track. You all may not know that they are also proposing a greenway on Vanderveer Avenue going north all the way to Fairgrounds Park. Right. And with this greenway money, and this is sales taxes that we've been paying since the year 2000, this will be one of the first initiatives that the Great River Greenway folks have made north of Delmar. And it is a result of conversations that we have had with them concerning enjoining this initiative. Had it not been for this initiative, the Greenway folks wouldn't be putting any money in our area. I'm just being really clear because the conversations that I had with them, they said, what development is currently going on? And I literally had to take a map out and start circling the 235 units, the 40 units, the Rankin new educational facility, and the investment that residents would make themselves to be a part of the special business district. So more will come, and it will come because the residents will be making that investment. And those decisions in terms of how it happens will be made by residents talking to commissioners. It is purely a community engagement project.
Okay, did you
Did I
get your?
answer your question? Did I?
I didn't.
And your question is?
Do you have a problem with me saying anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so what I wanted to share with you is, because I've experienced the special business districts and also some of my neighborhood associations, they pay dues.
Okay.
And they use their dues money. They do their own landscaping on mediums. If a tree needs to be trimmed or cut down, they do that. They also have opportunities to do other beautification improvements. They have not chosen to use any of their funds yet for security, but the special business district does. And for those of you who are not aware of the past experiences in the Central West End, at one point there were 4 districts, and they all paid towards additional security within the boundaries that they had designated for themselves. Now that has collapsed, and it's 1 district now, and that's how they have the additional police, because it comes out of that fund. And Lafayette Square has one, Skinker de Bolivar has one, and we can go on. So when you see those additional services in these neighborhoods, it's because residents have made a decision to do some extra for themselves. Again, you have boundaries drawn.
Right.
If you make a decision to spend funds, it's going to be within those boundaries. So if your home is within those boundaries, you will experience the benefit of the special business district. Some of the districts, because they have large apartment buildings in them, the value of those buildings is higher, so it gives them an opportunity to collect more money. A homeowner will pay a whole lot less than someone who owns a 100-unit building or something like that. But you get the benefits. You will get the benefits of the decisions that are made. You have a nice list here to start with, and you will make priorities from this list collectively. Hope that, people stay engaged, because if you're not, I always tell residents, if you're not present, you can't, you have no say-so.
I understand
So
that.
does that help you at all?
I mean, a lot of answers have been provided. I think Mr. Kennedy spoke to my specific as it related to the street and alleyway
Right.
improvements. So that is a concern, and it has been ongoing, and not just in the area that I live in. You ride the city, you see the illegal dumping and all those things like that.
Oh, that's a major
So
problem for the entire city.
I understand, and so it says here that some of the funds collected will be used for that purpose. And so that was what I was hoping that you would be able to speak to, or one of the petitioners would be able to speak to, because it is a problem in the entire city, and because it is a major problem in the area that's in the boundary areas. So
Again,
I heard,
you guys
I
will make
heard
the
what- I
priority.
heard what you said. So
Yeah.
I guess that there will be a connection, a communication, the way that we will have an opportunity to communicate with the individuals that petition for this to happen. So I think I think if we have an avenue to communicate with you all, then we can make suggestions as it relates to what becomes a priority.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next person is Stanley Newsom.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Looking at this, and I have a few problems with it. Number one, this is thank you, this is for the special business district. And I find that the largest businesses in this area are not included. As Schnucks, that's a business, and Rankin is not included. That's part of it that I see is wrong. What I see is this taxes, I never got a real understanding exactly how much more it's going to cost. And at 75 cents per $100, it's going to be an excess that many of the people in our area cannot pay. And I think this is a scheme or a program to eliminate people from the area. They call it gentrification. If you go to a lot of cities in the country, this same thing is happening, where people are living, especially poor black people are living there, moving them out, going into the area, and what they want is the land. And I think they need to be exposed for what they're trying to do. And these people, like I said, I don't think they'll be able to sustain themselves with a 75 cent per $100 valuation on their property. That's too much. And I just think it's wrong. And I think the people here need to understand this. They want the land. They want these people out, and they want the land. So it's no thing of getting along with people or community involvement. I don't think that's what this is about. It's about getting the land, moving the people out. Anybody got any questions? That's all I got to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Newsom. Wow. The blessing is that you vote on this, okay? Okay, I'm going back and forth. I'm on this one now. The next person is Ann Hamilton.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Hamilton, and I reside in the 4400 block of Enright. Now, please don't throw eggs at my back, but I have to say this. I moved first in the area in the 4300 block of McPherson. Now, during my years on McPherson, I realized I had a lot of protection, security. I had areas to go to when my grandkids came over to take them to nice restaurants and outings, etc. I felt secure. I had monthly meetings that were mainly during the summertime held on the streets. I had protection that when I called, or the services that when I called to order a pizza or something, it was delivered at my home. When I moved from the 4300 block of McPherson to the 4400 block of Enright, I called for Emo's Pizza, and they said they did not deliver on the other side of Olive. I lost that. I lost some of my security. There was no longer that engagement that I felt comfortable with, or nobody knocking at my door to join a meeting. So we started up our block unit meetings again. We started meeting with Weed and Seed at Rankin Tech, monthly meetings. We got involved with our alderman, Terry Kennedy. We had areas on our dilapidated buildings on our blocks and of surrounding areas to be demolished. The reason I start being with this board, with Judith, is because Judith came in our block, held block meetings at our homes. Most of us are on fixed incomes. Some are elderly and cannot get out anymore. She was willing to come to their homes, and we met, and we discussed what we wanted. Now, for a long time, I thought, and that was just my my perception of what was going on at the time. I would ask Terry, why is it that Lindo has these wonderful street lights? Lindo has police patrol. Lindo has people riding around on bikes. Then it moved to Olive and Ball. And he explained to me that we needed to do something such as what we're discussing today, to make sure that we had those services and that we had voting power and that we came together as one. Now, after doing that, I went with Judith to the bus trips that she's referring to. We went to Crown-Dillette Park and around Holly Hills. People came here. They saw our area. We went on bus trips and viewed theirs. We saw the difference. We made comparisons of what we wanted to see, change what we wanted to see done in our area. My concern today is that the LRA properties, how would this affect that part of it? I am very much impressed with what we've discussed with Judith, with our alderman, with my Weed and Seed meetings, with block unit meetings and everything, and to have this bill placed on the ballot. The concerns that I have is the LRA properties, how would that be affected, and if there will be available loans, low-income loans, or forgivable loans for first-time business people who want to open up a business in this area. Thank you.
Okay. Did you need to respond, Alderman?
How this would affect LRA properties? Because a portion of it, from my understanding what they're proposing, also deals with beautification, it gives you the opportunity to use some monies to more quickly address some of those concerns. And in doing that, that would also put even more pressure on LRA to do what they need to do to make it better. So you'll have some resources by which to use to be able to address it quickly. The second question was on what was it again?
New business loans.
New business loans. There's none proposed for this, and I don't think that you can use these dollars for that. The state does not allow for that. However, it does allow for other types of promotion of businesses and enhancements, like things of beautifying the street or signage or even events and things attracting businesses. But you cannot use these dollars directly to go to businesses for the beautification. The state does not allow for that.
And I wanted to share with you, there are an enormous amount of programs and opportunities in the city of St. Louis, and the state, as a matter of fact, for first-time business owners, to give them seed money to start and/or expand a business. For those who may have difficulty with credit, we have Justine Peterson and a number of others that can provide them with those types of funds. What can happen through this association is to make sure that you promote all those things that are available. That's what they did with Locust Business District. It was if most of you all remember, you didn't want to drive down Locust or Washington or anything. It was frightening. It was so abandoned. And they spent a lot of time, energy, and some funds to market the area, to give ideas to people to invest their money, and now you see what you have. So it can be helpful, but again, it requires everybody to be present. It requires everybody to have ideas and also volunteer some time. The next person on the list is David, is it Jacoby? That's okay.
But my phone did not want me to leave.
Oh.
Vice Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the aldermen and people attending the meeting, I want to, one thing, echo that gentleman that spoke before. 75 cents per 100 is a lot of money. You're talking, my calculation is, it's a 10% increase on my real estate tax. Coupled with the normal income property tax that the city raises every year, you're talking about roughly a 15% tax increase. The other thing is, there's a very disparate divide in terms of property values. South of Delmar is going to end up paying the largest proportion of this. And, you know, as a retired citizen living on a fixed income, it seems like you want us to leave the area. You know, on a fixed income, our income is not going up. In fact, most workers' incomes aren't going up. And taxes keep on going up. And we don't even see any of the benefits on where the money is going now. They had a tax to tear down houses. And all we hear is there's no houses being torn down. And now you want more money from us. The other thing is there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered, and they sit there and say, well, that's up to the commission. Well, how can we vote on something? What is our liability if the district is sued? Now they say, well, there'll be insurance. But we have no idea if that insurance is going to be sufficient. 911 calls. Who's coming to a 911 call? Well, depending upon which security company. And they don't know if one of them, I guess, uses police officers, whether or not they would come. So do we have to make 2 telephone calls when the police don't show up because they have other priorities, something more important, which I understand? But these are just some of the questions that haven't been answered. How do people's names get to the mayor for the commission? You call her up and say, I'd like to volunteer for this? This is not a well thought out plan. It sounds very good on paper. The other thing is it's a very large area. And I understand it would be like two patrols or 1 patrol. That's a large area. And is that going to impact the police patrols? I think more work needs to be done before this goes to ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is, you have S. Hayes on here. Hayes.
Good morning, everybody. Okay. I'm here now because I got this little piece of paper. Okay? Now, I live right in the area, right there. I live on Finney. I have a map, I have a book of the situation. And from the way it is to me on this now, we're here to talk about it or try to discuss it. I would like for someone to tell me exactly who's in charge. Because right now, it don't seem like you all is in charge of anything. You just looking. I can't even hear nothing back there. See, maybe I need the ears clean out a little bit, but I can't hear nothing back there. Now, according to the little proposal that you got going, I'm going to tell you straight, we don't need it. Okay? We don't need it. Number two, why would we create something that you're going to get rid of within 5 years? What you going to do with the money? Okay? Why uproot all of these people within this district for 5 years? Okay? Who's going to be permitted to live in a special district? Not only that, according to the paper, the book that I got, which y'all sent me, and I think I remember this man here, he's supposed to be your lawyer. Now, I didn't know we had to have a lawyer to go through this stuff, okay? Who's paying him?
He works for the Board of Aldermen.
Okay, that's all right. Why is he here now, okay? Is there anything out of place that you got to pay him? Okay, now, we don't need 2 police forces in the city of St. Louis. It looks like to me you're going backwards instead of coming forward. According to the paper, you're going to have 2 police forces. One for North St. Louis and one for South St. Louis. Okay? Read your paper. It's in your book. I read your book. Now, who gets the money after 5 years? The book says you're going to disband, get rid of it. Now, who takes charge after 5 years? I'm not selling my house or moving for 5 years. Okay? You can't take it. Okay? You're going to have a whole lot of trouble. I'll tell you that now. I've been in my place for 60 years.
Wow.
I bought it during the time that this country was preaching and teaching that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. They ain't doing that now. Okay? You ain't going to step over him. Now, according to the map, what they sent out, it's going to be from
Madam Chairwoman.
Vander.
Madam Chairman, point of order. Does a participant have a question or is this a comment?
But what you do,
I've made an assumption that
you wait
comments.
until I get through speaking before you start to having a conversation with one another. You hear that?
Yes, sir.
You wait. I got the flow.
That's right. Continue. You still have another minute to go.
1 minute?
You got 1 minute left.
Okay, now, we don't need this special district in the city of St. Louis, okay? Who gonna be in charge of it, okay? Who gonna get the jobs? We ain't got no jobs now, you're complaining now, okay? The city of St. Louis and Chicago done already agreed to build a railroad station running from St. Louis to Chicago nonstop. But where do you go and put in an application to get a job? All right? Where you going to get an application for any of these people out here to get a job? Because like I said, I ain't going to go to a place. I'm up in my 80s. And I know you're going to give me enough money to go buy another place. See? Okay, well, that's my little comment.
I thank you for your comments. Next,
Madam Vice Chair,
go right ahead.
one of the petitioners wanted to answer. Is that okay? You want to continue?
I need to move forward.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
thank you. Richard, is it McDuffie?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for allowing me to speak to this issue tonight. I am a resident of the 4300 block of Enright. I also serve as the pastor of the Lane Tabernacle Church there. May I say that when I came to St. Louis, in particular the area that this special business district talks about, I saw that divide between South Del Mar and North Del Mar. I was concerned about what was the issue. I saw the security they had. I saw the lack of security on our side. Like many of these residents in this room, I too go to sleep at night listening to gunfire. I am concerned about persons who are walking up and down our streets that I don't see on the south side of Del Mar. I ask that this Board of Aldermen vote this up so that we can vote on it, and I ask that the residents of our area please vote it up, because it will be a benefit to all of us. It will help our community to grow. There are things that it will be supportive. The Greenway is an excellent project. What we can get in beautification will be an excellent project. And here's the thing that I just want to leave with you. Nothing is free. Somebody's got to pay for it. And if it means that we increase our property taxes somewhat, I think it will be a good increase to help support us so that our children in the future will be safe. The only thing I say, Brother Alderman, I know that you are retiring, but moving on, but I hope that the person who comes along will make sure that once this goes in place, that we still get our tax dollars to support this as well. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Elaine Laura.
Thank you and good afternoon. I also live in the 4400 block of Enright, and I raised my two daughters there, and they're viable young people that I'm very proud of. But I'm against this tax. I did attend the meetings, some of them in my neighborhood, and I guess I misunderstood. I thought it was a sales tax. And when I thought it was a sales tax on what we buy in this community, I was for it. But now that I see it's a property tax, I am highly against it, and I would encourage everyone to vote no. The reason why, I just received my personal property tax, and that went up this year by over $200, and boy, was I shocked. I thought, boy, my personal property taxes went up $200. Woo! I'm against this tax. I know that the sewer district is going to put on another tax for us to approve. We just recently approved a tax for the sewer district. And now we're going to be faced with another sewer district tax. And then, did I say that my property taxes went up $200? Real estate.
Real estate.
Yes, thank you. My real estate taxes went up $200. I'm against this bill. One, I too wonder who are going to be members of the governing board. I don't think we have enough transparency in our ward as of now. The alderman, I read in the paper that you were retiring. You didn't send out a notice telling the rest of us that you were retiring. I'm concerned that we don't know who he's going to recommend for the governing board. He didn't give us the courtesy to tell us that he was retiring. I'm against this tax. I wonder how much property tax is Rankin going to generate with this multi-billion-dollar building. Won't that be enough to offset the need for this tax on the average property owner? I'm against this tax, and I hope the rest of the community will look at this tax as another burden. We just passed the tax to increase the safety budget. That was recent. That was this year. I believe in the police department, but I'm not so sure that there's a need for this tax since we just recently raised our tax bill to offset the police and firefighters. And did I say that my personal real estate taxes were increased by nearly $200? And I'm on fixed income, and I do believe in paying my taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't get to respond.
You do get to respond
Okay.
and have one comment.
I can?
Yes, sir, go
Right
right
now. I'm not retiring. I am moving to a different position. I was offered to be the clerk of the board. The clerk of the board is the chief officer of this Board of Aldermen. I was first elected in 1989. There's no attempt to hide anything. I have been sending out letters, but today people can tweet and put on Facebook faster than you can send a letter. And so the day that it was decided that I would, that they would hire me or would like for me to become the clerk, within an hour, people were tweeting it.
It was public.
And I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get my letters out as fast as they could tweet. And so some of you have not gotten my letters out, haven't got them yet because we're still in the process of sending them out. But just know, you know, some of you, I done known you all too long for you to be talking about I'm trying to hide something. And being there since 1989 means I've been there 30 years. And there's space for some new faces in this position. There's space and time for additional ideas. And so I know even my good friend there, Ann Hamilton, hadn't got the letter yet, but yours was sent out yesterday, I believe, as well as yours are going out later this week. So that's simply what happened. Some of you have already received some. As I know Oscar Brown who sent his out and several others. That's all. I'm going to a new position here at the Board of Aldermen as a step towards trying to improve what's happening here at the board. The board is short of staff, and so they've asked me to be the clerk. That's all.
Thank you. Actually, it was also on the news.
It was on the news?
Yes, sir, it was. But I also wanted to say, Ms. Laura, it is very unfortunate that your property value is improving and your property has more worth, because that's the only way that the taxes are increased. There are not many homes in your particular community that would not have an increase because you have so much development, new development that's been done in the last 10 years, so many new businesses that have opened and created new value to that community. And it all came from a community plan, from residents talking about. The alderman and I have worked on the North Central Plan.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a plan to do all those things. We worked on that together. We had a combined plan for the 18th and 19th Ward, and then there was a separate plan for just the 18th Ward. And I was thinking about our good friend that passed, Alderman Reed, and I was thinking about, you know, what he was doing. And I was thinking about our good friend that passed, Alderman Reed, and I was thinking about our good friend that passed, Alderman Reed, and I was thinking about our good friend that passed, Alderman Reed, and I was thinking about our good friend that passed, Alderman Reed, and I was thinking about And she would be grinning from ear to ear because she always wanted to see new development, parks improved, all those things. And when we talk about Lafayette Square, Soulard, and all these other neighborhoods that the isms say that we City Hall spend more money in and neglect other neighborhoods, they have special districts. That's what they have. And it took a lot of time to turn them around with those special districts. You are already ahead of it because your communities are not as bad as those communities were. There was a time when I wouldn't drive through Lafayette Square. It was just that bad. But it took a lot of time, energy, and committed individuals to make those changes. The next person on the list is Lynn Watkins. Lynn, okay, must have left. Felicia Anderson Torrey. We have 3 speakers after this.
Hi, everybody. I read the proposal, and then I had a few questions that I jotted down. So, and then to piggyback on something that was mentioned earlier, what exactly is Greenway? Is that a development?
It is an infrastructure development that will provide new environmental, what I consider to be easements. It will provide new green space, new bicycle path space, some new pocket parks will be developed. What it does in most cities, it helps beautify those areas as well, and it also helps increase property value. So the process, it was actually started about 25 years ago, for those who don't know the history. We first started that by cleaning up the riverfront, taking care of Chain of Rocks, cleaning it up, and creating a small bike path in that area. It has since grown. The country has grown to understand that it's important for us to have more green space and have a better environmental outlook on where we are and what we do. So I would ask that if you have an opportunity to go to one of the public meetings, you will find it extremely interesting. And we will have that going across the entire city.
Okay. So some of my initial questions were, currently, okay, they want to tax between 75 and 85 cents per $100,000. What are we currently taxed at? Does anybody know that? That way that would help us all understand more specifically how much of an increase that is.
Well, I can't give you the exact amount.
Okay, that's okay.
But I'm sure they have it.
Yeah. Do you have that information?
It's based on your assessed value.
At what cent now, though? Because what you're proposing is 75 to 85 cents. 75. 75 is okay, but what is it now? Does anybody know that?
On your property tax?
Yeah. Because she said hers went up $200, so, and you said it would only be like $71 on a $100,000 house.
But that's different. What she's talking about has nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
It's an additional tax.
Right, it's an additional, that's what I'm saying, it's an additional tax, right? So if she went up $200, it already, you talking about another $75, so she got $300 to look forward to. I'm just saying.
I don't know
So,
what her taxes are, so
okay.
we'll have to look into it.
Okay, so the other part is, if you own commercial property, what's the increase there? Same thing. 75 cents commercial and 75 cents residential.
Yes.
So if you're a commercial owner, you're paying 75 cents commercial and you're paying 75 cents on the property that you own. So that's $1.50 to me.
It's only on the property.
It's only on the property. Okay, I'm just trying to make.
The only difference to that is a residential property, if it's
It's
appraised
taxed
for
once.
$100,000, it's a assessed at 19% or 19,000. If the same building is a commercial building and it's $100,000 appraised value, it's assessed at 32% or $32,000, and then the 75 cents applies to that.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. He answered that question. Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, and then there was the central business, okay, so I, like the lady over there, believe in the city, the police department. So if we're going to have a central business district, a special business district, are we suggesting that every community in St. Louis have one?
No, we're not.
I'm just saying, eventually that's where we're going if we're going to keep doing this process and not trust in the police department that we have to protect and serve us. The other thing is we need to not only just figure out a way to bring jobs into the community so people can afford their properties and not make the property values go up, because at this rate, property value is going to go up. People are not going to be able to pay their taxes on their property value. And then I heard the alderman mention earlier that this committee will be able to enforce tax levies. So if you enforce tax levies, to me a tax levy means that you can take someone's property because they haven't paid their taxes, and you don't necessarily have to take them to court to do that.
No.
So,
No.
I mean, it's,
No.
okay, so that's a thing for people to consider though. Or you want to beautify. I keep hearing beautify, and security. So if we want to beautify, can we start beautifying with our own properties first? Is there a way to give people more money to keep their property up? Because it's the lady who was sitting here, I think her name is Ann, said that she can't get people to deliver to her neighborhood. You can't get people to come to your neighborhood and fix your house up either, to keep your property value up. So I think we need to work on that as well versus saying, I'm sorry.
Sir, you have to wait until she's finished, and then I would ask you to come to the mic.
Right.
They don't give you that piece of paper to get a contract, a real contract, to fix it up.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
now, I'm not going to say this again. I'm a person that deals with protocol. So if you want to stand up out here and talk, I'm going to ask you to leave, because I have to respect you, and I have to respect the ability for us to hear and for it to be recorded appropriately. That's the last time I'm going to say that. If someone else does it again, I'm going to ask my security to ask you to leave. I will have to have decorum respected. Thank you. Carry on.
Okay. The other question, the other thing that I jotted down was, but I think it's been answered. You all said that the special business district is not going to be used per se to govern businesses or business ideas. You want to have a special business district, but do you have ideas already for businesses that you want to come into the community?
That is what you all will do as a community. If there's some new ideas that you would like to promote or encourage a certain type of business to come in, or help promote those that are there so that they'll have more business and they won't close, they'll stay there.
Okay. And then currently the proposal is for 5 years, correct?
That's all. Yeah.
Okay, so after 5 years, are they going to vote again to renew that or not? What happens? What's the process after 5 years?
After 5 years, they would have to, apply to have the thing renewed.
Okay.
And then there'd be another hearing and that kind of business before that. Before that would happen, it has to go back on the ballot.
Okay. So my other concern is that the property that we own has been in my family for over 40 years. But I didn't learn anything about this until recently. So you all have been doing, I don't know who's been sending out the information to communicate that you've been having these tours, or you want people to participate, but I wasn't privy to any of that until now. So I think that some of this aggravation or frustration may come from the fact that most people didn't know about this until recently. And I don't know what mailing lists people are using to get the information out to the community for participation and to have a clear understanding of what's going on. But it needs to be done a little better. Because I don't know why I'm just now learning about this.
Well, the petitioners, you know, who initiated the petition, and that was not the Board of Aldermen. There has to be property owners. They have worked to get the word out. I've seen them do it. I've attended several meetings where there's over 100 people at Galilee Church. But always when you have these things, you're going to miss somebody. And so then this hearing becomes kind of the fail-safe. You know, that if no one else, if you hadn't heard it earlier, you probably would certainly hear it by now. And so then this is an opportunity for people also who have not heard of it to learn about it and give their opinions. Okay?
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
So sorry you did not hear it earlier.
Yeah.
But this
I mean,
gives
because
an
this has been
opportunity
going on
to.
for 3 or 4 years, right? I mean, you've been working on this.
They've been working on it, yes. They've been working on it for that amount of time. I believe she's finished.
Okay, are you done, Ms. Torrey?
Ms. Torrey, are you completed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I said thank you. I'm sorry.
All righty.
Thank you.
Nanny Johnson?
Good afternoon to the chairman, the board of the aldermen, and all that is concerned in the, what is it called, in special district. Good afternoon. I'm new at this, first time being here. I looked around, very interesting ideas and thoughts came up today, which we all need to get together and see what we all could do. But my thing is, everybody needs everybody. You know, you just can't work on the board and the board says yes, just like this taxes that we got going on here. You know, when I first moved over there in the area, Westminster Place, it was cool, no problems. It was cool for my family. But as I get older, I work every day, I see all this animosity going on, or their specific ideas that they have. That's all fine. But we just need to get together, understand each other's ideas and thoughts on the matters that we have here. I am so glad I came today because it's opened up my eyes, my ears, and everything. So I want to give credit to I'm finna say Brother Kennedy, Terry Kennedy. Good guy, good man. But if you have to move, move. But get somebody that's could work with us out here. You could see the people begging. Every time you look around, we got taxes. We're working for taxes. Tax this, tax that. And just like people say, the majority of them, look at them, is retired or fixed incomes, disability or whatever. Sometimes we need to look into some of those things where we are begging. We don't mean to come up here and fuss.
That's your right.
You know, but help us out just like everybody else want to be helped out. I'm Nanny Johnson. I live on Westminster Place. But this, I looked around and I see how many a them or you people is here. And I was amazed. But we all need to work together to understand the situations that's going on. But remember one thing, we are begging. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Horace Walcott.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the board. I have listened to quite a few opinions. However, what I am not hearing is what the city does for us that we are going to redo or pay to have redone. It seems like we're going to pay for certain services that's already being provided by the city. Services that we pay taxes on. Now, this is an additional tax. I live at 4238 Olive. I pay an abatement, which is on top of the city tax. Now you're asking me to pay an additional tax. Well, Madam Chairman, what I would like to say to you, and you and your board have the authority to do, is to not put this on the ballot come April. Clearly. It is not well thought out as yet. You hear of people who are on fixed incomes. How are they going to pay this tax? Now, here's a question that bothers me. What happens if a resident decides not to pay this tax? Do you have an answer, or anybody got an answer?
I will let your alderman answer that because I don't represent
You know,
that ward.
when you said the alderman, a lady attacked him just earlier. We didn't even know he was retiring. He said he tweet. Everybody does not tweet.
Absolutely
I did not tweet. I said I did not.
He did not
You
tweet.
know?
No.
We were talking about everybody else had put it to the public, and that's how the news media got it.
That's his job, is to get it out to his ward to notify them that he is retiring. He can't wait on everybody else.
Well,
We
sir,
pay for him to be here. We pay for you guys, don't we? Where do you get your pay from? Our taxes. We want services, not excuses. And I live in this ward, and I can tell you, I go to meetings, sometimes this guy don't even attend. So, coming back to the subject, I would like to ask you and your board not to put this petition on the ballot come April, because it is not well thought out as yet. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Walcott. Our last speaker, this is really good. Is it Mr. Brown the second? Wait till you get to the mic.
To the council, I have no doubt in putting this on the register to be voted, let the voters vote. But my question is, why can't it go past Evans instead of Finney when a lot of recreation, when a lot of new development is being built? I know how the Central West End got divided and separated. If we're going to build together, let's do it collectively and make sure that everyone can be secure within a certain shall I say, vicinity. We look at things as one way or another. Let's go from Taylor all the way down to Vanderbilt and from Linden over to Evans. As we go, if we're going to do a district, new development is all in that area. Rankin is part of it. So if Rankin is part of it in that area, I've been in this area since 1964 when Stevens was being built. I'm the third generation of my property. I have put 60 grand cash in it in the last 4 months. Got another 150 grand to put into it. That's no problem. The problem is, what are we prepared to do? There was an incident that happened right on the corner of Whittier and West Bell. A young lady was being molested. And so one guy was in the front, one guy was in the back. I called 911. They turned their headlights out in the middle of the street. And it took the officers 15 minutes to get there. That bothered me. So what's to say that if that was on the Central West End, how long would it take for someone to come and rescue this young lady? So are we making a difference? Enlighten me here. And I can see going for it. But when we we don't factor in the equation all of the evidence. Many times we put things out front for this and that. And I hear about the ones that was here and there in Washington in their business. I salute you. But help others. If we're going to do something, we don't know who we're going to need before we leave this life. And you in position, I salute you. You that's able, I salute you. But don't stop others that's trying to climb up by their own bootstraps to do what need to be done. Don't hinder someone that's trying to make a difference. But if you're going to make a difference, let's do it collectively. I'm through.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Alderman, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you have some comments? Okay, very brief.
I thank everybody for their comments, both positive and negative, but I do want to clarify some things that I think were misunderstood based on some of the people that are just getting some of this information. The special business district is called a special business district legally. Yes, it is a special taxing district. It's a tax on ourselves in our community for us that we control. The board is selected by recommendation, but that board is controlled by the neighborhood, by the people that live there, that vote there, that are part of our special district. This is not a tax to take away homes or anything like that. This is a tax to improve our community. And one of the things is I'm willing on my $100,000 house to invest the $150,000 a year to improve my community, and I hope that everyone else is. If there's questions, Judith has established a website. It is called northcentralsbd.wordpress.com. They can get as much information as possible there. And they can call Judith, 314-305-1661 to get as much information as possible. This is for us. This is our money, our community, our control, our ward, our North Central area, and this is for us to approve. And I think we implore you all to put it on the ballot so those people in the ward can make that choice on Election Day in April. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Alderman, I'm asking you to close.
Yes, ma'am.
Judith, come up because I think some people didn't get the phone number. On the website, okay. Could you repeat it?
North Central SBD.wordpress.com. My phone number is 314-305-1661. 1661. I just wanted to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. We will continue having community engagement meetings. So when you get that notice, and I do a lot of walking and door knocking, I have knees to show you because they creak now. When we put that flyer in your door, pay attention. Come out to those meetings. We hold those meetings all over the community.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'd like to thank you for coming in. You didn't know that you were going to chair this meeting. I appreciate that. Gave us the opportunity to move forward. This was an opportunity for individuals from the area to come out and property owners and speak their minds so we can hear it, and that is the purpose of this.
Absolutely.
To hear and get people's inputs on this proposal. You know, it takes, when it comes to governance in terms of trying to improve this city, it takes some new ideas. And this is one approach. I would like to thank these individuals who put in the petition for taking the time to do so. But I told them then we need to have as broad base of a community input as possible. This is a part of that process. And so then I'd like to thank each of you for sitting here and all of those who attended and giving their comments. I've always had issues with increasing of taxes. Since I've been an alderman, I've always had that as an issue, and I explained that to the petitioners. But I told them I'd be willing to be open-minded and allow this community to have a discussion to see if that's the direction we want to go. I did not take it upon myself just to have my opinion rule, but to be broad enough to understand that there are other ideas than simply the things in my head. And so this was an opportunity, an avenue to give voice to those individuals who would be willing to come here and could take out the time to do so, to talk. I think that the information and the perspectives that were shared here are important and have impact upon those who were able to stay. We had some committee members that had to go to another meeting as well,
right.
and it's unfortunate. But I do believe it was a good conversation. I had no idea that the possibility of me moving to another position would become a part of this discussion. But it did, and we do know in a public setting, all kind of things can come out.
Absolutely.
For those who may not know, if I take the clerk position, I would be the first African-American clerk in the history of this city.
City of St. Louis.
That's something, isn't it? As old as this place is, it celebrated 250 years and has never had a black clerk of this Board of Aldermen. So there's the possibility of history in the making. With that, Madam Chairman, I just want to thank everybody again for coming out and for the committee members for listening. I know the bill will just be held in committee at this point.
We're going to hold it in committee.
Mm-hmm.
We will follow your lead when we take a vote on this. But what I would like to say to you, Alderman, I do know how you work. Mm-hmm. I know how hard you work. And the evidence is there by looking at your ward. Mm-hmm. We all have challenges in the city of St. Louis, and it is unfortunate because we're at 300,000 people now. There was a time when we had 900,000 people living here. So therefore, our coffers were full. We could do more, but now we do less. And that is why many communities have chosen to have special districts so that they can hire additional security. They can do things in the time frame that they'd like to see them done for beautification and or market their area to get people to move in, to get people to open businesses, all of that. But at the end of the day, this process, I think, is one of the best because the community talks about it, they come up with some parameters for it, and then you vote on it, yes or no. Nobody pushes it down your throat. If you don't like it, you vote against it. If you like it, you vote for it. So that's I think, a very diplomatic way to handle something like this. But I think it's important for you to talk more because even if you decide not to do this, you do need to be coordinated and working closer together. So those things that you do have an idea that you'd like to see happen, you try to force it somehow, some way, if it means writing grants, whatever it is. but the community needs to be in touch with each other. Everything cannot be decided singularly. We all need to be talking to each other. I think that's one of the best things that we have. I love going to neighborhood meetings because we have an opportunity to engage, we educate each other. That's critical. That is very critical. So I thank all of you for coming in today. It is unfortunate that some of the other aldermen had to go to another meeting, but that's a part of why we need a clerk to get this place running right, okay? So Alderman Muhammad, did you have any comments on the process?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you, Alderman Kennedy. And I just want the residents of the 18th Ward and the surrounding community to know that for the last 30 years, you have had a tireless fighter for your community. The things that he has done down here at the Board of Aldermen for your ward and for your entire city is beyond amazing. From actually creating economic development, not just in his ward, but in other black wards as well. As one of the senior members of the Board of Aldermen, he is charged with the responsibility of making sure that every majority African American populated ward is doing well, not just his own. And he has done that excellent. And he has made sure that every ward has the tools they need to succeed and thrive and continually develop. It is true, he actually did not want it to get out that he was retiring as a member of the board. It was tweeted out. I was one of the persons that tweeted it out without his approval. Without his approval and without his permission. He wanted to actually send out letters to you all telling you that he was moving on to a new position and wanted to make sure that all you guys knew about the developments and all of the happenings that's currently ongoing in your ward because of his work. We moved a little faster than he could type, that's all. But honestly, if you want to see your community develop and progress, then this is exactly how you do it. Are you going to pay some money? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Absolutely. We always say we want our communities to look like the Central West End. We want our communities to look like South Grand and downtown. Well, the only thing that those communities have that ours doesn't is special business districts, special taxing districts. If you want more police, pay a little bit more money. You want to see more streets paved and resurfaced, pay a little bit more money. You want to see decorative street lights, pay a little bit more money. Contrary to popular belief, aldermen do not have $1 million to do public improvement. We do not have a surplus of money to just spend on infrastructure projects to create new housing units. We don't have that. That's not how it works. But if you do want to see all these things coming to fruition, pay a little bit more money and you will see it. And I've never heard anyone complaining that their property value is increasing. That's a little bizarre to me. I get complaints that my property value is declining. If I was a homeowner, I would want my property value to increase. So this is a good plan. And the reason why you guys have so many open questions is because that's how it's supposed to be. This board bill does not create the exact layout or formation on how the commission will spend your tax dollars. That's up to you guys, whoever serve on the commission. So if you want to have a voice, go to the mayor's office and ask, can you serve on the board? That's how you do it. This is a good plan. I wish I was in the 18th Ward because I would support this 100%, and you guys have a hell of an alderman. And I'm personally a little disappointed to see him leave as an alderman because we definitely lose a voice in this city. He filled the void that most people cannot. So you have a good one, and I hope you guys understand and recognize that. And he loves the 18th Ward. I can tell you that. He loves the 18th Ward. You have a good one. Madam Chairwoman, I have no further comments.
Thank you very much. And I want to just give you a little bit more information very quickly. We wanted him to start a whole lot earlier, but he said he still had things to do. And he moved the date way back for his starting time. That's how committed he is. He wasn't trying to run out of the position right away because he was committed to the things that he has told you he would do, and to assure that those things were finalized. His expectation is that he should be there to make sure they are. So not many people do that. We had one alderman on the floor at a board meeting resign, and we never saw her again. So, I mean, that's just how, you have to understand that being responsible and caring about the people, his decisions have been very solid. And you got to remember, he lives there. He's going to be a part of all that goes on in the future. He'll just be on the other side of the table as a regular resident now, not the alderman. So he will be there to advise and consult with, because you know him, he's not going to not do that. So did you have any other comments, Alderman?
May I follow up on that just a little bit?
Absolutely.
The committee the Board of Aldermen that selected me to be the clerk wanted me to start this position December 1st.
Yeah.
I told them there's no way that you can wrap up 30 years of work in 2 weeks when they selected me. Now, that almost put me in a position of not taking the position because I was no way up under the sun that I was going to not try to inform these individuals here. It's just that people like this alderman over there can tweet faster than I can get out letters. And that tweeting and that Facebook, which I am not on, moves much faster than the conventional way of communicating. Right. So there are a number of people here who have gotten letters from me, but the letter not only included the fact that I'm moving to that I will not file for re-election, but also the accomplishments that we have made together. There's a 2-page part about our accomplishments. I'm also planning to do a final report to this community so that they will know what we have accomplished, and anybody else that comes after me will have a map by which to follow. That is unlike what most alder people do. They leave the position and they are gone the next day. But I lived there before many of these people got there. And my father was an alderman. He left a legacy that we were able to follow. It is necessary that we leave one for the next generations. And so that is the attempt in what we're doing, but that takes time, and they can tweet faster than you can do that.
Okay.
But I am determined to get that done before moving on. I am not retiring, Alderman. I am simply not filing for re-election in 2019. Right. There's a big difference.
And
I don't feel old enough to retire yet.
There's one secretary with 4 other aldermen.
And that's the thing, they don't understand
and
that.
She's only human, okay?
There's one, this board is grossly understaffed. There is one secretary, in some instances for 5 aldermen. Right. There's one attorney for the legislative branch of government. We didn't have a financial analyst. Those who have worked to try to do things, you can see that this board is already crippled. So it takes longer to get things out. So thank you, Madam Chairperson of the committee. I just wanted to mention that it takes work, but I was determined to get it done before I went on, so that's why I didn't take the position right away. But I do appreciate the fact that we've had these comments and I've had the opportunity to raise these issues, and thank you for making it down here to make sure that this committee hearing took place.
Well, you know I'm going to show up if you need me, so.
Thank you. And all of those who showed up.
Right. Mm-hmm. I see one lady who absolutely must speak, but come forward.
Good afternoon. I have one question. When will you come to a decision on this proposal, whether it's yay or nay?
We will have to have another committee hearing. I have to have a quorum so that those members who serve on this committee can have a refresher on this, and they can vote it up or down to come out of committee.
Will we be notified as we were this time? With
Okay,
postcards?
so here's what we do.
Okay.
We have the opportunity for this hearing process to be on YouTube the next day after the hearing, the very next day.
Okay.
It's on there. We also publish it in what we call the daily record, journal rather, and the information and the results are in there. And then we also have the opportunity, if you would like for that to happen, and again, I can't speak directly for the alderperson, but if for some reason there was, I don't know how your neighborhood association works, but a lot of mine have telephone trees. And so X number of people start making phone calls, and it just goes on and on and on. And before you know it, everybody knows something. But it will be a public statement. And so it's not like you'll have to search too hard.
Okay. I just
We'll
want
get
to
it
know
out
when's
to
the
you.
next hearing on this, and when would you actually come to
I do not have a scheduled date for the next hearing.
That's it.
Well, but you'll know.
Okay.
And it won't be long. We just got to get some things in order, because I don't know if we absolutely have a chair. I know we're talking to someone, because I'm just the vice. But we will have, we need to get our business in order in the next week or so. But you'll know when we have the hearing. And, but there will be no public comments at that. We will be handling our business. This is the public meeting today. So there will be no more public comments.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, thank you. We've had a thorough public hearing of this proposed legislation, and we will end this and conclude it. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.